Hey there, everyone. Today I've got a bit of a sneak preview for you, as well as all the great stats for week 22. See you shortly. Wow, it's been an incredible week this week. It really has. Masterclasslessons.com is now moving and migrating to MCL.club. MCL.club. That was a really big change. Although I've still got masterclasslessons.com because I always like the .com, but the .club is so short. MCL.club. So I'm really excited about that. It's great news. So that's happening. That's the first sneak thing. The second thing is this. A heap of people have already completed the first masterclass on domain monetization. And I must admit, I was looking at the different lessons. There was over 10 lessons there. And I've decided I'm going to actually add a few more. I think there needs to be a few more. And one of them is going to be on how to do a traffic test. Now, a lot of people think they understand what it means to do a traffic test, but let me assure you, they really don't. Yeah, so I'm going to take you through how we do a traffic test and do baseline comparisons and all that sort of thing as additional lessons in the Domain Monetization Masterclass. And in the coming months ahead, we'll be adding more and more there. The great thing is we've got so many people are supporting, and organizations supporting MCL.club, and I'm just really so excited about that, and thank you for all those people, from the domain graduate, for the guys from .club, to from GMO, the people at GMO, like Japan's largest registrar. There's so many people are now beginning to link to it as a resource for their customers. And that's something I really am very excited about. And thank you for that. If you're wanting to link to us, then feel free to do so. Let me know if you are, and I'll link back to you, which will be great. The other thing I plan on releasing there is as an honor list, which is those people who have completed every one of the lessons. We're going to be having a list of those people, and then we can link to their sites. So if you're trying to sell domains or something like that, then people can link straight from Masterclass Lessons straight through to your website, because why? You've completed the course. But anyway, so lots of exciting things happening there, and I'm just so excited. But we're going to be looking at week 22. So let's take a look at week 22 and what's going on there. So I'll just get this all set up for us, and here we go. All right, week 22. So what has actually been happening here? There's been a lot of changes, I must admit, that's been occurring, a lot of same old as well. So this is the revenue growth trend. Now, anything above 100 is good. So what it means is that there's been a lot of growth just recently. It's tapered slowly off. Remember, I'm comparing, say, a Sunday versus the previous 4 Sundays, or a Monday versus the previous 4 Mondays. So that's what's comparing against. So you can't have infinite growth. That would just be awesome, but it's unlikely to happen. So it is tapering off, but it's still in the growth phase. So I'll be interested to see next week's data, because that's going to tell us a lot more. Okay, so the normalized RPM and RPM, man, they're going on a ride. They really are. If you take a look at those graphs, they're just plowing forward, just increasing. Now, this is a time, remember, that it's supposed to be going down because this is the Northern Hemisphere summer, and yet it's just blasting off into the stratosphere. So it's something that every domain monetization customer must be really excited about. All right, so here we go. Some other things here. Now, this is an interesting graph. You really can't quite see it on EPC and CTR. Normally, I just blast through this thing and say, oh, who cares about EPC and CTR? But this one's actually really important. And it's maybe one of the reasons why I've left it in there. To be able to see it, we need to see it, the moving average. Now, the red line there is the earnings per click, and the blue line is this click-through rate. So when we take a look at that, check out what's happened to the earnings per click. The earnings per click has skyrocketed upwards. Now, I began to dig into this and find out what's going on there. I think it's a combination of 2 factors. The first factor is there's more advertisers coming back online because they've got to sell their product somewhere and they can't sell it from their store in many cases because they're all closed down because of COVID. But the second reason why is this, is that around, if I was to take a look at on there, around this point in time, ParkLogic, where a lot of the data is coming from, we released some new technology. And the new technologies had a massive influence on earnings per click. It really has, which means that Google is loving what we're doing, which is great news because if Google's liking what we're doing and the advertisers are liking what we're doing, then that's great for customers. So it's really had a massive impact. So that's all good news. So what's else been going on? The volatility, and we can see the volatility chart here. And it's always been positive, 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 and we're taking a dip in the negative. Now remember, volatility is comparing that day versus the previous day. So if there was a really big spike 7 days ago, then that's why it's gone down, because it's probably just average. So don't panic just yet about that. Like I said in the previous slide, you can't have a forever increasing revenue line. That's just not feasible. Okay, so what's the revenue split between Google and the direct advertisers? This is the revenue split, and you can see Google just a number of weeks ago, it's almost like they decided, you know what, we're just going to go and buy more traffic, or we're going to buy better traffic, or pay more of the traffic anyway. So they went along and did that, and really it jumped up. I think what's actually happened is that Google has responded more quickly to some of the changes we made in our back-end systems, and that's what's created that step-up function, and which means basically all our major clients just went clunk upwards in which is great news for them. Now that's from a Google's perspective. The bad news from the direct advertisers, you can see it's taking a step down, which is never a good thing for them. I always like seeing them higher up. But here's the interesting thing for the next slide. Take a look what's occurred here. Google's paying more for the traffic, and we know that, but they're actually winning less of it compared to before. They're down to 80%, and yet the direct advertisers are up. And this is a really, I find this is fascinating to find out what's going on. There seems to be almost a tussle between Google and the direct advertisers to work out which is the best quality traffic, all that sort of stuff. And what we did was we put a spanner in the works in many respects, so that it was easier then for the direct advertisers that piece of traffic will have, that one I won't, and so forth like that. And that's where I'm supposed at the moment. And we're having some discussions internally and saying, okay, what's actually going on with this chart? But anyway, so the next chart is my favorite one. This is the one that I really wait for each week. This one. This is the normalized RPM for Google and the normalized RPM for direct advertisers. And check out that graph. Google is in blue, and the direct advertisers are in red. And you can see just there that it's just skyrocketing. Google is just, it's still going up. I thought it would flatten off, but it hasn't. It's still going up. And that's something that really excites me. But the other interesting thing is this, is the direct advertisers flattened off. Now, we need to put this into perspective. This is what it actually looks like. This is direct advertisers versus Google. They're on the same scale. They're on the right-hand axis. For whatever reason, I left it on the right-hand axis. But the same scale. So the direct advertisers are still outbidding Google for traffic. So once again, keep that in perspective. They're outbidding Google. But look, Google is really ramping there. And that's, like, from my perspective, people say to me, well, who is the best person to get traffic? And I'm agnostic. I'm like, whoever wins the traffic, as long as they pay more than the other guy, I'm happy. But they've got to pay more than the other guy. So that's really a picture of what's occurring just here. And Google is really beginning to ramp up there. The direct advertisers are plateaued off. I think they got belted around because some of the major direct advertiser or advertisers anyway were in the travel vertical and that sort of stuff, and that just got slammed. So I expect that will come back. It'll swing back in the coming months. So this is a zoomed in view of that same chart to take a look at it, and you can see there's a slight. You can see that slight blue trend line. Trend line is still going upwards. It is still going upwards, and the red one is going slightly downwards. So Google, which is blue, is still going up, and the red one's going down. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the coming weeks. And once again, this is what I hang out for. So what's occurred for direct advertisers versus Google, and we can see, as we saw before in the volatility graph overall, you can see that the direct advertisers have retreated a little bit. They're a lot more bouncy, and you can see that towards the end there in the chart. They're really bouncy down this end. Google went crazy. It's pulled back, and why is it pulled back? Because comparing against the previous week, so it can't keep on growing. That's impossible. So that's okay. So I'll be interested to see once again in the following week of what's actually going to occur. So all exciting stuff. And I once again, I'm finding that there's more and more people watching these videos to get a handle what's going on. In fact, I was just approached by NamesCon to do a release of some more data and things like that at the upcoming NamesCon online conference, and I'm really looking forward to doing that. But whatever you do, make sure you go along and subscribe and like and all that sort of stuff. Why? It encourages me to go ahead and do more of these, and to do these and update them each week. You may miss some, but you'll pick up another one. But you know what? If I don't get encouragement like anyone, one day they may not be here. So please, send me those likes, send me those comments, subscribe on YouTube and so forth, and that'd be great. But anyway, thanks a lot for that. Hope you enjoyed this.
I hope
Bye.
you enjoyed that video and you find them really valuable for your business and helping you make better decisions. Don't forget to like, subscribe, or pass the video on to your friends. Anyway, thanks a lot for that. Have a great day. Bye.